Hi, I am Peaceful Nick the Medium. Welcome to the live stream of Introduction to Mediumship workshop. Tonight I'm going to talk about a lot of different parts of mediumship. I'm going to talk about our clairs, spirit guides. I welcome everyone who joins to put who you are, where you're from, introduce yourself in the chat. Several people signed up for this free intro. Hi. Several people signed up for this free intro, which originally was going to be on Zoom, but a couple of the guests couldn't have Zoom for whatever various reasons they have. So I decided, let me try to see if I can put my slides up on a live stream. So that's what I'm doing. And just FYI, there are some dogs fighting out front of my office. So you're going to probably hear some barking. So hello. I see people are joining. Hi, Kelly. Hi, MB. So let me know where you're tuning in from. How's the weather where you are? It has been very hot and humid where I am. And we're going to start our intros. So on this slide, as everyone is joining, I'm sure there will be some people who are coming in later. What types of abilities do you have? Where are you from? What are you hoping to learn? How long have you experienced different abilities? Why are you taking today's class? And would you join a mentorship program? So as everyone's joining, please put in the chat. Now on Zoom, normally we can talk back and forth about this, but due to some people being unable to use Zoom, this is how we are going to do it. So if you are thinking about your abilities, imagine if you could unlock your natural abilities to connect with the spirit world and gain clarity. Excuse me. I've been under the weather this week, so just bear with me. If you could gain clarity on the messages you're getting and the things you're experiencing, that can transform your life. Mediumship has transformed my life completely. I have a very different life now than I did 6 and 7 years ago when I first started having my mediumship experiences. Everything about my personality, as far as how I respond and react, if I'm regulated emotionally, all of those things have changed for me and shifted for me. I'm getting a little warm. I'm going to pin my hair up. That's the problem in the summer. My life is completely different. I have healed in ways I never imagined I would be healing. Through my mediumship practice, through my meditation practice, through mediumship, through my sitting in the power. I have a baseline of peace and presence, whereas before I had tons of anxiety in my life. I was riddled with anxiety because I have a background of complex post-traumatic stress disorder. From a series of events in my life. And I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks, especially at night. I used to have a lot of panic attacks. So my mediumship practice has helped me maintain a much more pleasant state of being in my life. And I think everyone who, even if they only come to this free mentorship preview, you're all going to learn something and take something away from it. And if you're watching the replay, you will I guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know or feel a certain way you weren't expecting. Janet said she's in Atlanta. Hello. Lots of experiences with this topic. Want to know more. We just had a huge storm blow through, and my pergola got blown over and gone. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Yeah, we've had a lot of storms down here too. I'm in Central Florida. Janet said abilities come and go. Like to get a handle and clarity on connecting easier and quicker. Yes, yes, yes. MB, regards from Europe. Clear night here. I already signed for the course. Yes, yes, yes. Very nice. MB, this will be the same as the last on Zoom. This is going to be the same information, but feel free to stay. Ansel from Arizona. It's hot outside. Experiencing things I can't explain. This happened 5 years ago after I went through a major change in my life. Yeah, and sometimes that actually there's a big, when there's a major change in our life that can shift our mind, our brain, our neurological system in certain ways. There's something called acquired savant syndrome, where somebody has a brain injury, either by a physical injury or a stroke or something happens to them, and they suddenly have new abilities. Like, let's say somebody is an artist and they get a brain injury, and then they wake up after a medical procedure and the brain injury, and all of a sudden they're a mathematician, and they never were a mathematician and didn't know math before. That is called acquired savant syndrome. And scientists have no problem, for the most part, accepting that something happened in the brain to turn that mathematical genius on for that person. But sometimes scientists have a problem, a lot of times, understanding people with psychic and mediumship abilities. And I don't know, well, I guess I do know why. There are materialist scientists and then scientists who follow the evidence. And the preponderance of evidence for mediumship and psychic abilities is very high. Like, there's a lot of evidence for it. And in my opinion, as a scientist myself, you're supposed to follow the evidence. So that's what I did when I became a medium. Okay, so introductions. Anybody else want to talk about what abilities they have? Okay, so if you have ever had a reading, please let me know in the chat. How did you feel after that reading? Did you feel better? Did you feel worse? You do not have to put any medium's name in the chat if you don't want to. Did you feel like you could start or continue your healing journey? Kelly said, developing student who loves the opportunity to listen and learn from you. I'm so glad you're here, Kelly. Kelly's been my student for quite a while, and she always is willing to learn something new and really stretch her mind and her abilities. Abby felt validated. Good. So put it in the chat if you've had a mediumship reading, how you felt after. If it was a bad experience, don't say who the medium was, because you don't want to, this is going to be on the internet, so we don't want anybody to sue you personally for libel or whatever. Ansel said, I know I did, but just for entertainment purposes years ago, I can't remember the reading. Okay. And that's fine. Lori said, I've had several readings with a few different mediums, and has always seemed very comforting and a good sense of relief. Yes. It is, as a medium myself, I've had so many readings by so many different mediums. And it's very comforting. It's very validating and very comforting. And to be able to do this full time as my job now, I feel very grateful very, very grateful that I can help people heal. That is my goal in life, helping people heal. I'm just a disclaimer again, I haven't been feeling well, so if I misspeak, it's just because I'm a little unwell. And I say before every reading, guide me, lead me, show me how I may serve. Because it's important, get a little halls. It's important to set an intention and let spirit know that you're willing to be of service to the world and to the person in front of you. Now, if you're interested in learning mediumship for yourself, everyone can be their own medium. Anyone can learn to be their own medium. You do not need to go to a medium every time you want validation from your loved ones. You can learn to be a medium for friends and family. You can learn to be a professional medium. You can learn to be a medium just to go on the internet and give free readings. There are many reasons why you could learn mediumship for different types of things you want to do. But we don't want to become a medium. I was doing this intro workshop one time. I'm going to tell a little story here. And it was on Zoom. And there were a couple of mediums who came in into the Zoom, I guess, just to see what I was teaching at. And one of them I said, why are you a medium? And this person said, I like the attention. And I said, oh, that may not be the reason you want to be a medium, right? Because we don't want to be mediums for attention. It shouldn't be about our ego. Mediumship isn't about us. It's about spirit and allowing spirit to work through us to deliver healing to the people we're helping. So through a mentorship program, you can learn the beginner's mentorship. You learn about, I'm going to go through the highlights tonight. You learn about your clairs, how to exercise your clairs, how to do sitting in the power, how to find your spirit guide, all of those types of things. Oh, thank you, Abby. Glenda said, I've had some really good readings with so much evidence. Good, good, good. Janet said, I've had many readings, have friends who are intuitives, and we read each other quite often. I call others for validation on energy I am picking up. Plus, I am trained on energy work, and I trust what I sense. Good. Yeah, thank you, Abby. This has been a weird sickness for me. I've been kind of sick and fatigued off and on all week. Like I'll feel good for a few hours, and then I feel bad. I don't really know what it is. Okay, so my goal is to show you how to communicate with loved ones in spirit and provide evidence to their loved ones here and make their presence felt to everyone that is being communicated to, and helping people heal, of course. All right, next, clairs. How many clairs? So in the chat, as I go through the clairs, I want everyone here to type in if they have this clair or not. You can put an emoji, you can put a yes, you can put a check mark, something, but type in the chat. If you already know what the clairs are, go ahead and type it in the chat, which ones you have. So I'm going to teach you what each clair is. Okay. Claircognizance is clear knowing. So this is a clair that many people have. It's like being psychic. Okay. This is a clair that many people have that they don't know they have until somebody tells them they have it. So, for example, I was driving from Savannah, Georgia to Central Florida to go to Disney World when my kids were little. My husband was driving. I was in the passenger seat. And our boys were, I don't know, 10 and 12, something like that. And all of a sudden, I knew there was going to be a car accident in 30 seconds. And I said to my husband, I said, slow down. There's going to be a car accident in 30 seconds. Hi, Kim. And he slowed down. And 30 seconds later, there was a car accident. Had he not slowed down, we would have been in that accident. It was on Highway 95. If anybody knows about Highway 95, you know. So that's an example of claircognizance. I knew what was going to happen before it happened. And that was pretty common in my life. And that was way before I was a medium. That was at least 15 years before I was a medium. So maybe 10 years. So that's clear knowing, when you know something, or when all of a sudden you think of your sister and the phone rings or she texts you. Claircognizance, you know what's going to happen. Or somebody's like, I need to call you and tell you something. And in your head, you know, oh, they're going to tell me they're getting a divorce, right? And then they call you and say, I'm getting a divorce, something like that. So anybody have claircognizance, put it in the chat, put a check mark, put a yes. Janet has claircognizance, very bizarre things I pick up with this. Clairaudient, as a young girl, Amazine, and clairsentient. Also having prophetic dreams. Yeah, precognitive dreams. That's all in the claircognizant realm. Abby, worst highway accidents on 95. Yes, there are. Lori says yes. Abby says yes. Janet says okay. All right, clairvoyance is clear seeing. When you can see internally or externally things in your head. It's like a daydream. If you're a person who sees things in your head when you think, and not everybody knows this, but not everybody sees things in their head. That I just found that out a couple of years ago. I didn't know that. Like in general, like when I'm thinking about something, I see things in my head. When I'm daydreaming, I see things in my head. Not everybody does that. Did you guys know that? So when you are clairvoyant, you can see things inside your head, scenes, flashes, pictures, a person, anything, a wedding dress, flowers, a tombstone, an urn, anything inside your head. And if you can validate with the person you're trying to give a reading to that those things that you saw in your head apply to their loved one in spirit, that's claircognizance. Also, there's external clairvoyance, seeing. External clairvoyance is when you can see people, things that aren't really there. You can see them in front of you. I have seen spirit people walk through my house before, way before I haven't seen any since I was a medium, but I've seen them before I was a medium. I asked my guides not to show me people because it scares me. But I can see things kind of holographically projected between my mind and the three-dimensional world. So that's clairvoyance. So Janet said, I do that too. That happens when I do energy work. Touching them opens up past, present, future energy. Yes. So anybody have clairvoyance? Let me know in the chat. Clairaudience is clear hearing that can be outside or inside your head as well. Oh, thank you, souls and spirits. You're amazing. You're amazing. If anybody's looking for an awesome, beautiful deck of tarot cards, souls and spirits, go to their Facebook page. They have a beautiful brand new set that is handmade. Thank you for being here. Clairaudience is clear hearing. A lot of people will fall asleep at night and they will hear their name called, or they'll hear words, or they'll hear somebody talking and there's nobody there. That's clairaudience externally. And there's internal clairaudience where you're hearing thoughts in your head, but they're not your thoughts. Like all of a sudden, you'll be getting ready to leave the house, and all of a sudden in your mind, a thought will pop in that says, wait 30 seconds, wait 30 seconds. And so you're like, that's weird. So you go, piddle around for 30 seconds and then you leave. And then you realize an accident just happened out, down the road that you would have been in if you hadn't waited. So that thought in your head can be your guides. It can be a loved one in spirit. It can be any type of spiritual energy that's just trying to give you that message to prevent you from walking out the door 30 seconds before. And in a reading, when you're doing a mediumship reading, clairaudience can be just thoughts in your head. I hear a lot of songs. I'm a big music person. I love music. I've always loved music. And for a long time, I hear songs in my head all the time. It's not unusual. So I've been doing readings for a long time. And about a few months ago, I kept hearing a song in my head when I was doing my meditation for my reading and writing my little stuff down. And I thought, you know what? I wonder if that song means something to my client. So I asked the client, I said, does this song, it was Yellow by Coldplay. I said, does this song mean anything to you? Because I keep hearing it in my head. And the song was very meaningful for the reading. And so now every time I hear music in my head during a reading, I now know it's spirit trying to give a message to my client from their loved one, because we use our database. We use all the life experience we have to convey messages to our clients through spirit, right? Spirit gives us information using our database. And in my database is a lot of music, only the type of music I know, right? Like, I don't know every kind of music. But I also see movie clips and sitcom clips and things like that. So now I know, because it's always learning. We're always learning as a medium. Forever. You never stop learning. Now I know, oh, that's important. Pay attention. When before I just thought it was my mind because I love music. Souls and Spirit said, my friend has trained under Nick and now she is almost a full-on medium. You won't get a better teacher. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, and your friend is incredible. Very incredible. And they need to really get out there and do readings more often because they're very talented. Lori said, that happened to me. Ansel said, if all that happens when you're meditating, was that still Claire's? Yes, yes, yes. So this is something we're going to talk about tonight, sitting in the power. So I'll just talk about it now since the subject came up. Sitting in the power is like meditating, okay? But in mediumship, sitting in the power is connecting with your guides, connecting with spirit. It is raising your vibration and allowing spirit to come into your awareness. So it makes sense that when you're meditating, that would happen, because you are opening up your awareness, you're calming down your nervous system, and you're clearing your mind. That's why a lot of people have their first experiences when they're falling asleep, because they're clearing their mind. Their mind is settling down. They're going to the alpha brainwave state. And so, Ansel, you are accidentally sitting in the power. So sitting in the power, you breathe. You take 3 deep breaths in and out. Then you lift and elevate your awareness. And you imagine, for me, everybody imagines something different. I form a big oval bubble over my head. And this is my space where loved ones in spirit walk into. and start showing me things, giving me information, giving me messages. And that's sitting in the power. So that's what's happening to you. You're elevating your awareness without knowing it, and you're getting all of that information. So that's what's happening. That's great. You're a step ahead. Kelly said, oh, she's a fantastic teacher. You are a fantastic student, my dear. Clairsentience and clairempathy are sometimes used interchangeably. This is clear feeling. Sentience is physical feeling. Empathy is emotional feeling. So we can feel physical pains in mediumship. I have felt a variety of different things in my body during mediumship readings. Most often I feel heart attacks, but I have felt being shot before. I have felt like brain injuries before, all different kinds of things. Now, sometimes it's really strong, really, really, really strong, and you have to ask Spirit to pull it back. Okay, so sentience is physical feelings. So if anybody has that, let me know. Kimberly has the emotional one. That's clairempathy. That's when you can feel the feelings of others. And this is, if you are very empathetic, this is why, and Kimberly, tell me if this is true for you. This is why when I go out in crowds of people, I have a lot of anxiety. A lot of anxiety because I didn't know for years that this was happening. I'm feeling the feelings of everybody around me with no boundaries. So I have to put up boundaries when I go out in public. Sometimes I forget, and then I'll be at the mall or wherever, and all these people will be there, and I'll start to get anxious, and I have to remember, put up my boundary, put up my boundary. So you can tell Spirit, your guides, whoever, your loved ones in spirit, to tell all of the emotions of all these people around you to back off, put a bubble of protection and light around you. Hi, Stacy from SoCal. Hot afternoon. Ooh, I bet it is hot out there. Do you have humidity now? I was in Southern California last year, and it was more humid than normal. Like, it's not normally humid there, and it was humid. It was weird. Ansel has the emotional one too. Okay. And then Clairaudience and Clairalience, these can come together. Clairaudience is taste, when you taste things, and Clairalience is smell. A lot of people will smell their grandma's perfume or their dad's cigars. Oh, Sunny, welcome. Beginning a spiritual journey. I'm glad you're here. So let me know if you ever smell I think smell is the most common one I hear from people, which surprised me. But then when I thought about it, it didn't surprise me. Occasionally, my mother, she passed away in 1986. I have her little baby picture here. This is my mama when she was a little baby, and that's her. She had her first communion there, and then these are her parents. So I keep them by my desk, and she wore the worst smelling perfume in the world. So if anybody remembers Taboo, it was the most terrible cheap perfume ever. And but every once in a while I smell it. And I mean, I just live with my husband. He's not wearing perfume, and I don't wear perfume. So I will smell that. And occasionally I'll smell her smoke because she was a smoker. I'll smell smoke, and I know she's around. Let's see. Lori said smells. Abby said smell and taste. Janet said smells. Cigarette smoke and what you think is cancer. Yeah. And sometimes that's a good symbol for you, right? If you're practicing regularly. Linda said, I liked Taboo. My mother loved taboo so much. Now, remember, she died in 1986, so my memory is that it smelled terrible. I don't really, I was a kid. They buried her. She got buried with a bottle of taboo in her casket. So, Laura said, I was told I have clairvoyance, some clairaudience, and a little claircognizance. Well, Laura, only you know, right? You would have to see the descriptions I gave and tell me, what do you have? Do you have any of those? Abby said, Grandma wore white shoulders. I smell that periodically when she visits me. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And taste, the two things I have tasted I rarely get taste, very, very rarely. The two things I have tasted are cornbread. I don't know why I get cornbread a lot. It's so weird. And chewing tobacco. I was tasting chewing tobacco in my mouth. And sorry about the noise. People just walked in. I know the taste of chewing tobacco. I don't chew tobacco, but I know what it tastes like. And I sat down to do a reading, and all of a sudden I could taste chewing tobacco. And so I asked the client, and they said it belonged to their person in spirit who passed from cancer from chewing tobacco. And I was like, wow. I hadn't had that before. Okay, so keep letting me know. Let's see. Laura said, I have seen my dad and mom and dad dancing, heard spirits. Awesome. All right, psychic versus medium. What is being psychic versus what is being a medium? So a lot of people don't understand the difference, and it's quite simple, okay? All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. A medium talks to loved ones in spirit and gets information from them. A psychic connects to you and your energy and your aura and gets information from your energy field. Now, mediums can do that, but they have to tell you they're doing a psychic mediumship reading. Or mediums can get information from loved ones in spirit and give you the information that seems to be psychic, but really it's coming from spirit. So little predictions like, a baby in the family, right? And then 2 hours later, you get an email from a client. They're like, oh my God, my daughter just called me and told me she was pregnant, right? Stuff like that. So mediums talk to spirit, psychics connect with your energy field. I was trained as an evidential medium, which means I provide evidence that your loved ones in spirit continue beyond this earthly realm. So, for instance, like the chewing tobacco taste, right? That is a very big piece of evidence for that reading. Yesterday, I was giving a reading to someone, and she asked about her great-great-grandmother, who she didn't know, but she knew about her, but obviously she wasn't alive at the same time. And all of a sudden in my head popped a Native American woman. And I said, all I see is a Native American woman. And she goes, she was 100% Cherokee. That's evidence, right? So I provide evidence in my readings, and that's what I train people to do. Ethics are very important also. There is no governing body in the United States to look after mediums and psychics. It's kind of like, there's no real governance of the internet, really, right? It's just, the wild, wild west on the internet. But ethics and mediumship are important because there's no governing body. So we have to hold ourselves to a very high standard in order to make sure we are delivering appropriate messages to our clients. We always want to make sure our clients are in a better place at the end of the reading than they were at the beginning. Also, if you're doing professional mediumship, And let's say you just have a bad day and you do a bad reading, and it happens to every medium in the world. And I don't care how much money you make for mediumship, every medium has a bad reading once in a while. Yesterday, I did a lot of readings this week. My calendar is full till the first week of July, and I'm so grateful. So I did 3 readings in a row yesterday. The first reading was great. The second reading was not so great. And the third reading was great. So in my second reading, it was okay. It was passable, but I have a very high standard for myself and my work. And so I offered another free reading to that client because I don't feel like I did a good job. And I feel like I didn't provide the evidence that I needed to in that reading. So I'm going to give that person another free reading next month because that person deserves my full capabilities. And so that's something ethical you can do. You never want to give negative information just because. Any negative information should be coming through for healing, like an apology for someone not being so nice to someone else. That's the only reason my negativity should come through in a reading. No spirits are stuck. No souls are stuck. There's no spirit stuck to anybody. None of that is real. That should never be said in a mediumship reading. Another unethical thing you may come across is when a medium sends out a questionnaire before a reading. No, I don't even care if I know the person's name. I don't want to know anything about a person before they pop in for a reading. Mediums should not be sending questionnaires. And there are mediums in the world that do big events and they send out questionnaires before the event. There are mediums who, when you register for a reading, they ask you a bunch of questions. No, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no. No, no, no. Sunny said, okay. Oh, I missed some comments. Rita said, I talked to my dad. Good. Sunny said, I had a vision when I was extremely frightened during a medical procedure. I was not sedated. I saw my deceased grandparents and parents, and they were observing me intently. My fear evaporated. Exactly. That's what they're here for. Hello, Trent. I'm glad you're here. Janet said, Lilydale, New York is a spiritual community that does certify mediumship. It's a 2-year live on site program. Yes, they certify it through them. It's not the government. Like there's no government regulations. That's what I was talking about. There are certification programs, absolutely, but there's not a governing body like a state or local where there's like laws about it. That's what I meant. Because they're like Helping Parents Heal does it, other organizations, Forever Family Foundation, other places do that too. Yes, agree, Janet. MB, these brain states probably has to do with the quantity of thoughts. You mentioned alpha state. Is it possible? Even better if lower activity. I think alpha is the lower one. I could have that wrong, but I think it is alpha. The lower, the less thoughts in your mind, the more information can come through mediumistically. Okay. So the 6-month mentorship program isn't just another course where, there's 100 people and you're listening to a video. It is me. I only have 6 students or less at a time. I never do more than that in my mentorship programs. I have practice sessions, one-on-one sessions in between, so students can get practice and one-on-one time with me in between the class times. So I'm there present live in between and during every class. All right, so some other things you'll learn: sharpening our skills, boundaries, discipline, clearing your energetic space, finding your place in the spirit world, connecting to spirit, and keeping your eyes open. So we must keep boundaries. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. We must keep boundaries. It talked a little bit about boundaries. We shouldn't let spirit just come in willy-nilly. We should have a dedicated space to do our spiritual work. When I was first a medium, I had a corner of my bedroom. That was it. I had a little tiny desk in the corner of my bedroom, and I would put flowers up behind me and put a black cover over my bed, and that's all I had when I was first doing readings. You can do readings from anywhere. So you don't have to have a big fancy office or, a standalone building somewhere down, you don't have to rent a space. You can do this from anywhere. So you have to have a boundary in place, and you tell spirit, okay, when I sit in this corner of my bedroom or at my desk or in the shower, whatever it is, wherever your place is, spirit needs to know that's when they come in. They shouldn't come in when you're at work. They shouldn't come in when you're at the grocery store. You have to tell them when it's okay. And they'll listen usually. You have to be consistent and persistent with them. Sunny, I have my first reading scheduled for next Saturday. Are you sure it's not the 21st? I think next Saturday's the 14th. Yeah, MB, yes, correct. Yeah, I may have that backwards. Discipline, we need to have self-discipline when we do mediumship. We need to have control of our emotions, emotional regulation. You need to have a clear energetic space, a clear mind. If you are not in the right mental space, you should not do a reading. Let's say somebody called you. This happened to me a couple months ago. Someone called me, and a family friend's child passed away very tragically, very suddenly. And it just threw me because I knew the mother of this child when she was a baby and watched her grow up, and been friends with the family my whole life. And you don't want to do readings. Like I had an event planned for later that day, and I had to cancel it because I just wasn't in the headspace for it. I couldn't do it that day. And so you have to be able to have enough clarity to do it. You can't have a cluttered mind. That's why meditation and sitting in the power is so important, because you have to clear out those thoughts in order to connect. Now, some people apparently can just connect anytime. Now, if you're just, but I just don't recommend that. We need to have boundaries and connect when we're supposed to connect. Earlier, I described when I lift my conscious awareness and open a space for spirit to come in. That's my place in the spirit world. That has changed over time. At first, it was an ocean scene with a whole bunch of stuff, and my mentor was like, you need to clear. Why do you have all that stuff there? No, you don't need all that. Get rid of it. Then it was just a blank open ocean scene. And now it looks totally different. It's like a copper or sepia colored oval over my head that pops into my awareness inside my mind, right? I see this big space, and people just come in, usually on the right. And another piece of evidence from a reading I did the other day, almost always, 99% of the time, all my information comes on the right side, which is the creative side of my brain. Well, this young man was coming in on the left. I mean, hot and heavy, left. And he's showing me one thing after another. And it's just like this steady stream of information. And I asked his mom, I said, hey, I usually see everything on the right, and he is on the left and just left. I said, was there something, different about his mind, or was he left-handed or something? And she's like, he was left-handed. And she said, I always feel him on the left side. And I thought, oh, that's beautiful. So that's part of the evidence, right? Hi, Doris. Sunny said, I have claircognizance with my sisters and friends. Yes, good, good, good. And inside my head. Yeah. I prefer it inside the head personally. So once you have your space in the spirit world and you've developed it, then you just pop the spirits, pop right in when you're ready. So what I do, I'll tell you what I do. I sit in the power here at my desk before every reading. If I have 5 readings a day, I sit in the power before every single one. Even if I only have 2 or 3 minutes. And I say a little intention, and I say, dear God, angels, saints, loved ones in spirit, please allow me to connect with loved ones in spirit for whoever the person's name is. Please allow me to please allow me to provide evidence that their loved ones in spirit go on beyond this earthly realm. Please allow me to bring messages of hope, healing, peace, and love. And then even during that little intention setting, I'll start seeing things, hearing things, and feeling things in my mind. And I have a little notepad and I'll start writing things down. And then it continues through the reading. Doris is in Florida. MB says, Indian yogis say the best time to meditate is 4 a.m. Yeah, because everything's quiet. Yeah. And when you do readings, you should have your eyes open. This takes practice. So if you wanted to explore a 6-month mentorship, not only would you deepen your connection with spirit, but you'll also learn how to confidently deliver a message and interpret messages with accuracy. And even you could start a career in mediumship if that's your calling. And I have students of various ability levels in my classes. I do beginners, intermediate, and advanced mentorships. And I do one-on-one classes too. Some people don't want to be in a group setting. Some people just want a one-on-one class, and that's fine. I also offer that. When you are learning to connect with spirit, you have to trust and allow. And this is one of the things that trips people up when they're learning mediumship. Not everyone trusts completely that spirit's going to be there because our ego gets in the way. And I mentioned earlier that we're always learning. We're always learning forever. And about 8-9 months ago, I was listening to another medium speak, an experienced medium. And I used to get a lot of anxiety before readings because I was so afraid I was going to disappoint my clients. And I think it was Kim Russo, I believe was her name. She said, leave your ego at the door. And I wrote a note, put it on my desk to remind me. Your anxiety is from your ego. Trust and allow spirit to work through you. So my anxiety for disappointing my client was about me, not about them. And that was eye-opening to me. And it changed my mediumship. My mediumship has changed since I realized that and started accepting that. If you don't trust spirit, they're going to sense that. And they're going to pull their energy back. You have to allow yourself to be the vessel. When you're ready, you trust that they're going to give you the information and allow yourself to be the vessel. And then you have to move your mind to connect to spirit, which for me is breathing, lifting, expanding, allowing the information to come through and then delivering the message. So you can deep breaths, lift and expand your awareness, move your mind and merge and hold the connection, surrender and engage. And if you wanted to explore mediumship for yourself, for your friends and family, or for others, imagine what would happen, how you would feel when you receive a clear, undeniable message from the spirit world that leaves you in awe. And this, When you're a professional medium, it happens all the time. And you're just like, oh, here we go again. There's no explaining that, no other explanation, except we got information from spirit. This is the kind of connection you will develop in the mentorship I provide. So if you're interested in a 6-month mentorship, my mentorship starts June 21st. Spirit guides are very important. Trent said Kim Russo is amazing. Yes, she is. Yeah, she changed just that one little line from her interview that I was listening to changed a lot for me. I'm very grateful. Spirit guides. So I have a free guide to finding your spirit guide on my website. Many of you probably already have it. So you go to peacefulnickthemedium.com, which is right here, and you click the button at the top. It said free guide to finding your spirit guide. Put your email address in, boom, it comes straight to your email. There are linked videos in there. Some of them are a few years old. They're my different videos explaining how to find your spirit guide, different options. So if you wanted to find your spirit guide on your own, I do offer that option. Connecting with your guides is so important, and building a relationship with them is so important. It's like having a best friend that's non-judgmental and will listen to your complaining and whining and help you and guide you and just fill you with love, unconditional, pure, unconditional love. So even if you have no interest in being a medium and no interest in a mediumship mentorship, find your spirit guide because it is life-changing. Lori said, how do you know if it's spirit or your imagination of what you think it is? Validation. You have to get validation to know. So I've told my snow globe mediumship or my snow globe spirit guide story probably 1,000 times. Because I was a scientist when I started my mediumship journey, and I had no idea. I knew nothing about spirit guides. I knew nothing about mediumship, like nothing. My mentor said, I didn't believe spirit guides were real. I thought it was a bunch of BS. I was super skeptical. My mentor said, test your spirit guide. Okay. Even if you don't know who it is, say, okay, show me this sign. So I picked a snow globe. It was March. I said, show me a snow globe. A little while later, and I said it in my head, so my phone wasn't listening. A little while later, I'm scrolling the internet on Instagram, and I see a psychic advertisement for a snow globe. Now, remember, it's March. There should be no snow globes, right? It's not Christmas. And I'm like, that's a coincidence. A little while later, I saw the same advertisement, snow globe psychic. I'm like, okay, that was a Saturday. Sunday, I went to a golf shop with my husband. I'm not a fan of golf myself, but he is, so we went. Okay. On the counter, golf snow globe. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. The next day was Monday. I worked at a new place, and there was this office or room I hadn't been in before. And the lady had worked there for 40 years. She helped students with learning challenges. And I looked to the left, and lined up on the wall were shelves and shelves and shelves of snow globes, hundreds of them that she had received from students over the 40 years. And then my other son and his wife bought me this snow globe right after that. And, I had never received a snow globe as a present in my life before. Well, that I remember. So that was my spirit guides laughing in my face, right? Because that's my attitude. I told you so. So that's how you know. You have to give them a test. Let's see. And if you're talking about mediumship readings, well, you've had many readings, you can validate the information. Trent said, I tried so many times to figure out who my spirit guides are with no luck. I finally hired someone to help me do it. And did you find them? Did it work? And my mentorship, you don't have to wait years to develop your gifts. I have some students, I have a group of beginner students now that really are advanced students, and probably with a little bit more training could give professional readings for sure. Oh, good. That's great, Trent. Congratulations. I'm glad. Deeper information, dealing with no's. What do you do when you're a medium and you're giving information to a client and they say, no, 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 no? You have to be cool. You have to hold steady because it belongs to somebody. Sometimes it belongs to the client and they don't remember. We call that psychic amnesia. Or sometimes there's somebody in the next room and it belongs to them. So you have to keep your cool. You have to pay attention to the timing. You don't want to give 30 pieces of evidence in 5 seconds and then have 25 minutes to fill, right? You have to time it. You have to have some self-control. And you don't want to give one piece of evidence every 3 minutes. So you want to make sure we are weaving a natural progression of evidence and messages in a reading. You want to trust spirit and follow the story. Following the story is super important because it makes the makes the reading more dynamic. It makes the reading more hefty, right? You want the story. You know, if you see, I was doing a reading once and I saw a dad and a little girl standing in front of a pond and there was a bench and I was talking about all these details about it, and come to find out the dad built that pond in his backyard for his daughter because he had brain cancer and he wanted to leave her this memory of him. And there was just like this whole story. So that's following the story. And if you wanted to learn mediumship, you will become confident through this mentorship if you choose to engage. Types of evidence: strong versus weak. There's some strong evidence, some weak evidence. Giving the name John died of a heart attack is weak evidence because lots of men die of heart attacks. Lots of men are named John. My grandfather's named John. He died of a heart attack. I got a reading one day and the medium said, your grandfather John died of a heart attack in a city that he did not live in. He was visiting someone, and that was exactly what happened. My grandfather was visiting San Francisco, where my dad lived, where I grew up, and he passed away of a heart attack on the street corner. And that's what the medium told me. Okay, Sunny, thank you for telling me. Sunny is Stacy. Rita said, I'm a beginner. All right. That's good, good, good. There's spiritual intelligence. So spiritual intelligence would be something specific, like I just described, like my grandfather passing away in a city that he did not live in. That's intelligence. There's no way on earth, and this was in the 80s. So there's no way anybody could Google me and ever find that out. Plus, nobody knows my maiden name. Like, I mean, you could probably find it out, I guess, but that would take some serious work to find that out because you can't look that stuff up from the 80s. It's probably not in the newspaper. Okay, you want to be able to deliver healing messages. So healing messages will come through naturally in a reading. They should come through. You'll just start hearing things. So like, let's say somebody's father was an alcoholic and they want to apologize for their behavior. And they want to say, I wish I would have been there for you as a father. You deserved more. That's a healing message. Often people need to hear that, and it helps them heal and release some of that burden they've been carrying. Healing messages are essential in mediumship because people come to us to help them heal. The mentorship program I provide will transform your abilities. I have people who come in and they are not sure if they have any abilities at all. And by the end of the 6 months, they're giving readings with absolutely no problem and confidence. I give personalized one-on-one attention because I keep my classes small. You will see immediate progress. You will see tangible outcomes and gain practical skills. You will have a sense of belonging. A lot of people return to my classes many times because of the sense of community and belonging. I have a couple of students who didn't know what was happening to them. They were just clients of my mediumship readings. And then they started asking me questions about what was happening to them and became some of the best, most advanced students I've ever had. So it is a community, and it's something unique that isn't something just common, right? It's important. And if you have abilities and you're interested, you should definitely explore this. The 6-month mentorship starts June 21st. You will learn all I talked about, plus have one-on-one attention. You will have practice sessions in between. You can have one-on-one meetings with me. If anybody wants a free meeting with me, 15 minutes next week, email me, peacefulnickthemedium@gmail.com. Let me type that in. Sorry, you're gonna hear the clicking of if you want a one-on-one meeting with me to just discuss this, please email me. And we will set up a time next week. If you want the code for $25 off, the 6-month mentorship is a monthly fee. If you want the $25 off per month, email me and I will send you the coupon code because it's exclusive for this live stream. So if anybody wants the coupon code, please email me. And if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to learn on your own, I have a digital downloadable Mediumship 101 course that is the equivalent of my 6-month mentorship. And it's only $27 on sale. And it is everything we talked about plus a million other things. Instruction, journal prompts, exercises, Clares, spirit guide, all of that, all in this digital download. It's also a physical copy is available on Amazon, but I get like $1 from that or something. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat now or email me at peacefulnickthemedium@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or set up a free one-on-one call with you for next week. Any questions? Thank you. If you are watching this from the beginning and it's lagging behind a little, the next spirit exchange is June 29th. I think that's a Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. In the 6-month course, how often do we meet? We meet once a month for the full 3-hour class, and then we have optional practice sessions in between. So essentially every 2 weeks. The practice sessions are an hour long. Those are sessions for clarification on things. Those are sessions for a deep dive into a certain subject if you have a question about it. Those are sessions for doing readings. Lori, I believe you got readings from some of my students. So that was a practice session. So essentially every 2 weeks, but the long class is once a month. Yeah, what our Clares are, that's back at the beginning of the video. So rewind it and you'll see a screen that says Clares and all the Clares, and I explain all of them. Yeah, so Lori, if you want to meet one-on-one or get the coupon code, let me know. Is astral projection sitting in the power? No, it is not. Sitting in the power is connecting to spirit. Astral projection is your consciousness traveling somewhere else. Great questions. Great questions. Okay, my voice is gone. I'm having a hard time making words. So Please email me if you have any questions or you need the coupon code. Thank you guys so much for being here. And yeah, rewatch it, Yvette, if you want to know the Clares. It's at the beginning. Thank you, everyone. I'll be live sometime next week. Thank you. Have a nice night.